What other game do you know that has fun boss fights, unique weapons and platforming, and an amazing art style? No, we're not talking about Hollow Knight. How dare you think of any other game than Cuphead? The music, the animation, the bosses, they're all unbeatable. I absolutely adore Cuphead and have sunk tons of hours into replaying the same boss over and over again just to get by it. And with the release of the delicious last course, I feel as if my brother has parried my soul back into my body. So why not spend a few more hours playing against each boss once again so we can rank them? A few things to note. First, I will be ranking every individual boss, including the DLC, but will not include stuff like the run-and guns. I really love the new King's Gauntlet they added, so it's really sad that I won't get to talk about them. Secondly, I'm going to rank them based on all attributes, so design, animation, music, difficulty, it will all be included. I could just do easiest to hardest, but I don't personally find that to be very fun, and tons of people have already done it. I care much more about my enjoyment of each boss, how cool they are. I'll try my best to keep my bias out of it, but as you know, it's a hard thing to do. Also, it's my list, so feel free to comment your own if you disagree with any of my rankings here. Today we will be ranking the Root Pack, Goopy Le Grande, Ribby and Croaks, Hilda Berg, Cagney Carnation, Baroness Von Bon Bon, Beppi the Clown, Djimmi the Great, Wally Warbles, Grim Matchstick, Rumor Honeybottoms, Werner Werman, Captain Brineybeard, Dr. Kahl's Robot, Sally Stageplay, Cala Maria, Phantom Express, King Dice the Devil, Moonshine Mob, Esther Winchester, the Howling Aces, Glumstone Giant, Mortimer Freeze, Devil and Angel, and finally Chef Saltbaker. Wow, even the names of these bosses are good. So, without further ado, let's find out which bosses are a knockout! So, without further ado, let's find out which bosses are a knockout and which ones make me want to walk out. The first boss of Aisle 1 is, of course, the Root Pack. You really can't argue with me on my opinions of the first aisle, considering I happen to have S rank on all the bosses. No big deal. Anyways, the Root Pack is usually known as the easiest boss fight in the game. It's hard to disagree, there really isn't a lot to it. 3 rounds, 1 veggie each, pretty simple steps to dodge each one. They're all stationary as well, which means you can just stand in place and shoot sometimes. They picked the perfect 3 vegetables, I think, but none really lend to an interesting design. It's just vegetables plus face. The music is pretty good though, one of my favorites for sure. I think we go C tier, nothing too special. Goopy is the first boss I ever fought, and to get good I attempted to get an A+ on it right out the gate. I did that with the first 2 aisles, resulting in a lot of practice but a lot of good scores. But Goopy specifically really helped me get a feel for the controls. I honestly don't know what he's supposed to be. I guess he's like a Dragon Quest line? Oh, is that blue guy? Goopy is cool. I like that he dies and you have to fight his gravestone. I love the song for this one too, especially the opening. So, Goopy Le Grande feels like he's meant to go in D tier, but I love the little guy, so let's put him in C tier too. Time to get double teamed by the Super Frog Brothers. Trying to S-rank this one was pretty miserable, but I really have down a lot of the patterns now. It's just that last round that really gets to me. I like their casino theme, although it's done 100 times better with King Dice. Their designs are just like karate frogs, but with boxing gloves. Sort of mixed messages there. Really not into the vor part either. The music isn't even good. Looks like we got ourselves a classic D tier, ladies and gentlemen. Hilda Berg is definitely one that's hard to keep my personal bias out of. I kind of despise the fight, but ultimately the designs and everything are pretty cool. Besides her in her normal form as a plane riding a unicycle, very strange. But the constellation characters are very cool, and the moon ending is insanely awesome. Seeing that for the first time blew me away. Other than that, it's alright. I feel like the plane levels are just a bit worse than the others. I love the different ways platforming is implemented in the other sections, and we just don't get that with the plane levels. I'm sorry to say, I think we have another C tier on our hands. Who can refuse to jam out to the music during Cagney Carnation's fight? It's impossible. For that alone, I love this fight. As the final fight of Aisle 1, it's honestly pretty easy. It's our first bullet hell boss, but for beginners you can just put on auto aim and focus on dodging everything if need be. The evolution of this fight is a bit weak in my opinion compared to someone like Goopy Le Grande, who starts small, grows big, and then dies. It kind of feels lackluster. We get a whole life cycle there, where with Flower Boy, he just kind of gets more flowery. I do love when he launches his whole face at you. The last phase is pretty underwhelming. I'd originally written here that this fight was in B tier, but replaying it again I had a blast. It's probably one of the most fun fights to replay in my opinion, so it has to be S tier. I feel like this one's a little underrated. It's like taking a trip through Candyland, fighting small bosses until reaching the Baroness herself. Just to talk about the small guys, I feel like it's a missed opportunity to not have the Jawbreaker slowly break each layer as you deal damage. The Cupcake is the worst one, I hate it a lot. The Waffle and the Candy Corn are just alright. The final fight is pretty underwhelming too, you just dodge her head for a while until it's over. You know, now that I think about it, she's actually pretty accurately rated, B tier. Man, I remember not liking the Beppi one, but playing through it now, it was a ton of fun. I absolutely love Beppi's design. He's just a blue and red clown who gets to become every object at the circus. The ducks are perfect, the roller coaster is such a smart obstacle, the balloon dogs are really fun, and that green horse. I don't know why, but I love that green horse. Why is Beppi so cool? He also has a unique platforming segment at the end where he uses chairs to stand on as the roller coaster flies through the bottom. It's great, the music is really catchy too. I think Beppi is a very solid S tier. I don't think many would agree with me, but that's okay. Djimmi the Great? Fuck you. Hey, Djimmi the Great? Yeah, you. Fuck you. Why? Oh, I'll tell you why. First off, how dare you call yourself great? You're not. How dare you call yourself Djimmi? More like Ninny. More like Djimmi, because it's spelled with a D. Like, who does that? You know why it's spelled with Djimmi? Because Djimmi is in D tier. For real, Djimmi is kinda D tier for me. Nothing stands out. He gets a secret phase that's just boring. I don't even want to get to it, which is not how a secret phase should be. I do like the Illuminati pyramids, but that's it. It just doesn't do anything that hasn't been done in other stages. I meant it when I said D tier. Funny enough, I quite like Wally Warbles. I know, quite the contrast after ranking Djimmi. I just love the ones where we see a natural progression of life in the phases. Starts as a bird, dies, its egg baby, who is ugly and I hate, comes for revenge, and then finally, in the bird's dying breath, it forces its nurses to fight me one last time, only to allow me to kill the whole hospital. I just like how it's more than a bird stuck in a birdhouse. It is very easy and really doesn't have a whole lot of unique aspects, so I'll get dock points for that. I do however like the music of this one, especially when the baby bird comes in. I like to put this one in B tier. I don't get why Groom waggles his fingers at the beginning, but it is amazing. This is really the first challenging boss, I would say, which is cool considering we're at the end of the second aisle already. He also has the first unique platforming mechanic where you jump from cloud to cloud as you circle around a tower. I love Grim, his design is very fun, as well as his little fire buddies, they are super cute. That final phase is so difficult. You're constantly running away from the three-headed dragon, attempting to get hits on him, but if any of your bullets break his fireballs, they burst into more fire. I remember getting an A+ on the stage was very hard, and I'm glad I did it then because I will never attempt an S on it. I still haven't put many in S yet, but I like this one enough I think it's time. S tier. It cannot be understated how much more unique a boss feels simply by changing the battlefield you fight them on. That's the main enjoyment I get from fighting Rumor Honeybottoms. Such a strange name, it is clear no rumor that her bottoms are honey. Such a strange name, it's clearly no rumor that her bottoms are honey. Or should the joke be, honey, it's no rumor I'm a bottom? If you have a better joke, let me hear it in the comments. The beginning police guy is a bit boring, but I really do like each phase the queen has. The one I like the best is the rocket one. It's the perfect pairing with the constant changing of the platforms, so not only do you need to jump up and down dodging the missiles, but you also have to make sure there's a place for you to land on beneath you. The final phase is somewhat strange, but definitely mixes up the fight. Having to aim downwards is tough, so I typically just switch to the auto aim gun and dodge oncoming attacks. I think this one is pretty solid, let's say A tier. And yes, I know, it is an insane missed opportunity to not say B tier here. I get it. This is another amazing one in my opinion. Not only is the theme fun, where it's sort of a cat and mouse fight, but the phases are all very distinct. It really feels like you're stuck in this tiny house, and the way it constantly forces you to go from left to right keeps you on your toes. It's definitely one of the easiest fights in the game, so I dock it a few points for that. But it really gets my brain working in a way many others just can't. I absolutely love the second phase for this reason alone. I also like the twist that Werner is just controlling the cat and did not get eaten. It's a funny end of the fight. I like it enough to put it in S tier, but I'm going to restrain myself to putting it in A tier for its weak difficulty. Just as a quick aside, I'm going through all the bosses as Miss Chalice, and the final phase of this fight is borderline impossible with her. Brineybeard shoots a big pink laser across the screen, but her parry is done by dashing, so you can't really dash into a horizontal laser, resulting in multiple hits of the damage. So I did it on easy. Anyways, other than that, Brineybeard is another awesome one. There aren't many water-based fights, so it's got a nice concept, and it forces you to continue jumping just to hit the guy on top of his ship. The barrel forces you to change your spot in the fight, which definitely adds to the challenge. The shark, fish, and squid are all really cool minions as well. The final phase that the boat starts attacking you on is really tough, and usually jumping on that pink laser over and over again is a really awesome idea. I've seen it done in similar games, and it's always a stressful break in the action. I love you, Captain Brineybeard, and I'd love to give you an S if you accept it. He said yes! And now, why not take a quick break? It's nice to rest your eyes and maybe go outside. Wow, that was quick. I genuinely think this might be the most difficult boss in the game. For me at least. Dr. Kahl and his robot have tons of very annoying moves that make the boss worse than just difficult. I feel like I've made it pretty clear so far that I want a source of challenge in my ideal boss fight. But Dr. Kahl heard me and thought he would try to be the best of the best. Again, it's less so that it's hard and more so that it's annoying. And there's no better example of this than the pure minute of bullet hell you have to sit through at the end of the fight. Like, it's stressful and boring at the same time. Each flying level seems to have a bullet hell section, but none take up this much time. It's ruthless, and I'm happy to say I will never have to fight them again. Just to add some positives, the idea of the first phase is pretty good, and the clear Iron Giant inspiration makes for a fun idea. I just hate this one so much I can't not put it in D tier. I feel like this one is so strange, like the villain is just an actor in a play. I suppose all actors are at least a little evil, so the theming makes sense, but it certainly stands out among the rest of these. I must say, the second to last section is quite different from every other boss. You have to keep a parryable object there until the big wave comes across the screen, and you have to clear the top of it not to get hit. It's a fun idea, and I kinda wish it was used with other bosses in some way. Maybe it was, I can't think of one though, but anyways, it's just mediocre really. B tier should be fine. Hey, Dr. Kahl? Dr. Kahl's robot? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I feel like I owe you an apology because you are probably on par with annoying moves as Cala Maria. I don't think she's as annoying, but some are just as bad for sure. I will say the coolest part is seeing how two of our minions' attacks pair up with each other. Like the seahorse and the electric eel is a super tough combination, as well as the ghosts and the pufferfish. It's something that really changes the boss each time you fight them. And her move that freezes you in stone until you break out is a cool idea as well. It works pretty well for the Flappy Bird level it ends on. Ultimately, I think she's better than Dr. Kahl's robot, but still pretty annoying to fight. Play the world's tiniest violin all you want, Medusa Snake. You can't convince me that your fight is any better than C tier. Before playing the Phantom Express, I genuinely thought this was probably one of the most forgettable bosses in the game. And now, having fought it once again, I can safely say, yeah, I was pretty spot on. Somehow this one feels like it takes so long, yet it's the same length as all the others. The concept is fun, as it's really the only one going for a spoopy theme, so that's cool. I really forgot what all the phases were besides the first one, which I think is pretty fair. I generally don't know what the third phase is supposed to be. I'm sure I could look it up to find out, but instead I'll choose to be stubborn and not do that. I know I've raved about other bosses when they've changed the platforming aspect, and while this one is a cool idea, it definitely deserves a spot in the game, it just isn't as enjoyable as the other ones for me. I really hate the full second of waiting between being able to hit the things, which caused quite a few deaths. The pumpkins hitting them for you adds a necessary level of challenge, but is also unbelievably annoying. Overall, it's just bland, which is bad in a game filled with vibrant and unique fights, so yet another classic D tier. It's so cool that this game got a boss rush, and casinos have so many good items that can be made into bosses, it's perfect. I will say, every idea of all 10 bosses is awesome, and it fits perfectly with one another. Some favorites include the cigar, the 8-ball, and the monkey. The monkey could honestly be its own fight. There's nothing else in the game like it. Otherwise, they're all super one note. They have one aspect to them and that's it. Even King Dice is doomed to have a single attack, making him the easiest part of the entire fight. The worst one is definitely the rabbit. Not only does the design look very ugly, but all their attacks are extremely annoying. To be fair, this one does have 2 attacks, so I'll give them that. But yeah, I really shouldn't have expected a fully fledged fight for each one, I know that. But it makes every fight feel like it's missing something. And again, I feel like the biggest problem is King Dice himself. He should feel like the final challenge, but instead he feels like a somewhat inconvenient last step. I think I was too harsh on this one, but it's too late now. I still like it though. Like I said, the theming is really good, and there are tons of unique animations and attacks, so after all that complaining, still A tier. God, I know people are going to be so upset about me with that in the comments, but it's okay, it's okay. I feel like I've been so negative so far, and I hate to do it again, but as the final boss, the devil is super underwhelming. Of course, he has some really fun moves. I generally love all the stuff in the first phase. The goat, the dragon, is great. But everything else is just boring. And since we have a new final boss with the DLC, I feel pretty safe in saying it could have been much more epic. That's kind of what a final boss should be. It's also insanely easy. I beat it in like 3 tries with Miss Chalice. I don't know what else to say. Like, the devil isn't bad, but it should have been so much more. I really think C tier is the right place. Alright, finally, we've made it through the DLC bosses. I'm going to go through each of them in the order I beat them in when I downloaded the new content. So, Moonshine Mob was first, and I think I chose the wrong one to start with. This one not only relies on you remembering how to play the game, but also expects you to realize that the boss fight has not ended, which of course I fell for. The bug people all have fun personalities, and the giant anteater is really cool. But ultimately, I thought it was one of the weakest of the new fights, which is actually a good thing, since it is still pretty good. I'll say B tier for this one. Cow Mommy is a nice Wild West themed fight, which is crazy they never got the chance to do that in the original game. It's very funny how willingly she turns herself into processed meat. And while this one isn't very hard, it's just a lot of fun to play through. I haven't heard an incredible soundtrack in a while, and thankfully Esther has one of the best songs of the DLC. It's just a great fight. I have to give it A tier. This is such a good idea. How is this not in the original game? A dog fight with actual dogs? Incredible! All the dogs have a really fun design, and this is the only fight of the DLC to have a secret wave. And the final boss has an insane twist where the screen literally twists. I feel like a genius playing on the Switch if I could physically move the screen around as I play. You can all tell I'm going to put this in S, so let's just get to the chase and do it already. So, you pissed off this dormant giant with a cult of elves at its will, huh? And now you have to fight it to the death? Well, might I suggest allowing it to eat you so you can murder it from the inside? Yeah, I knew that would work. I've seen this exact scenario hundreds of times. But that's just the thing, right? What a unique and fun idea for a boss. Just imagine a game like Elden Ring, where a mountain that's been there the whole game suddenly started getting up and fighting you. That would be so cool. So yeah, the concept is great. The fight itself was just alright, I thought. I felt like each attack I'd already seen before, so ultimately it's just a B tier fight. This fight is pretty tough. Mortimer Freeze is our only ice-based boss, and it makes sure to capture every aspect of that as it can. The wizard, the snowman, and the snowflake each have a great moveset. There are some super annoying moves that all 3 of them have. The icicles, the ice cubes, and the entirety of the snowflake's arsenal make me want to never replay this again. It's definitely fun to conquer the first time around though, so I'll gotta give it a B tier. So, a secret boss, huh? The idea of that is really cool. Some people might not even know that this exists. It's rewarding in and of itself just to discover this fight on your own. And the main mechanic of the fight is pretty fun. You always are looking at the angel as the devil attacks you from behind. It forces you to learn how to swap between the two in order to dodge some of the obstacles coming at you. I think it does the concept pretty well, but I would have liked to see another phase. I feel like this mechanic could work in a bunch of different formats, so it's sad they limit it to a few repeating attacks. Still, it's just a bonus, so it's kinda hard to complain, but it's undeniably weak compared to the others, so I'm forced to say C tier. We have a new final boss, Chef Saltbaker. He really wasn't a twist villain. I think we all knew this creep would have a dungeon in his basement. Now remember, I mentioned this fight when I was discussing the devil. I also mentioned how lackluster the devil felt because of Saltbaker, and I mean it. This is generally like an epic fight. The music enhances the feel of this giant looming over you. Each fight makes you feel so small and incapable of winning. The first phase you don't even matter to him, he is simply working on his ingredients as you dodge them. Which, by the way, having you dodge attacks based on the items you collect here is an amazing touch that makes this feel that much more perfect. Then Saltbaker gets pissed and picks you up, allowing you to take the final blow and destroy the glass holding all his precious salt. And now for the coolest part, you fall. As glass shards break around you, the world is consumed by a salty storm in the background as the heart of Chef Saltbaker makes one last attempt to take you down. It's just so cool. And difficult. I tried for like 5 hours to get an S rank on this one, and it was just not happening. I think I made it the final round with 3 hearts like a single time. It's so tough, which adds to the fun to trying to finish it. I think this is the final boss we always deserve, and for that, I'd like to give Show Saltbaker an S. What a way to end the list and the game of Cuphead. I can't state enough how much love I have for this game and every fight in it. The life that the painstakingly hand-drawn animation it's brought to each boss is so breathtaking. Nothing this beautiful can be done quickly or lazily. It takes time, effort, and most of all, passion. And the people at Studio MDHR clearly exude more passion than almost any other game company I've ever seen. So no matter the rank I give each boss here, they are all incredible. Yes, even you, Djimmi. So keep that in mind, your favorite boss is still amazing regardless of where I ranked it here. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the list. If you're curious to see how the bosses on each aisle were ranked, I've color-coordinated the rings around each boss for you. Let me add, this list took a ton of effort. Just to prove I actually fought each of these bosses again for this video, here's the unique costume as Chalice kits for beating every boss in the game. Is that enough for you? Are you satisfied now? You better be. Thanks for watching, it means a lot. I will see you soon. Goodbye. It's so cool that this game has a boss. It's nice to rest your eyes and maybe go outside. Grab a book and get some air. So